It is a Saturday morning. You are standing in your kitchen at 6 in the morning making coffee. You open the cabinet under the sink to grab the dish soap, and there it is. Not one, 7 of them. Fat, reddish-brown, sitting on the drainpipe like they own the place. American cockroaches, Periplanet americana. You slam the cabinet shut. Later that week you spend $54 on 2 cans of spray and a box of traps. 6 weeks have passed. They are still there. Every single morning, evidence, and somewhere behind your walls, hundreds more, that no spray on earth will ever touch. What I am going to show you today costs less than $2, and kills the ones you cannot see. My name is Ezra Stoltzfus. I am Amish, 62 years old, and I have farmed in Holmes County, Ohio my entire life. Old farmhouses with stone foundations and root cellars draw cockroaches the way a barn light draws moths, and my family has been dealing with them cheaply and completely for as long as I can remember. Before I show you what to build, I want you to understand what you have already spent. The National Pest Management Association puts annual American household spending on pest control services at roughly $9.4 billion. That is not a number that exists because the methods are complicated. It exists because the business model depends on you coming back. A one-time fix has no value to a company selling quarterly contracts. Walk into any hardware store, and the cockroach aisle will offer you sprays running $8 to $22 a can. Bait stations at $10 to $18 a pack. A reasonable household dealing with a live infestation spends $40 to $80 on commercial products in the first attempt alone. Most of the time, 4 to 6 weeks later, the problem is still present. Not because the products are completely without effect, because they reach the cockroaches that come out into the open and leave the colony in the wall untouched. The pest control company that charges $285 for an initial visit is using the same active ingredient I'm going to show you how to use today. Boric acid. Orthoboric acid, H3BO3. It has been a documented household pesticide since the 1880s. A 1-pound bag at your hardware store costs $5 to $8 and makes 50 or more bait applications. That same compound, repackaged in a professional gel bait and applied by a licensed technician, costs you $285 for the visit and $89 every quarter after that. There is no secret chemistry. There is no technique a licensed exterminator uses that cannot be replicated in your kitchen in under 30 minutes. What there is an industry with no financial incentive to teach you that. A customer who learns this method once does not call back. A customer on a quarterly contract pays $300 to $600 every single year. The economics are plain, the knowledge exists, it simply does not travel in a direction that reduces revenue for anyone selling a service. Now I want to tell you what this bait does that no aerosol spray ever can. A contact spray kills the cockroach it touches. The colony breeding behind your refrigerator, inside the wall cavity above your dishwasher, under the subfloor near the water heater, those cockroaches are never reached. The boric acid bait I'm going to show you works entirely differently. The cockroach finds the bait, feeds on it, and returns to the nest. Boric acid, H3BO3, is slow-acting by design. The insect does not die at the bait site. It dies in the nest, 24 to 72 hours later. The cockroaches that consume the body, or the contaminated droppings, also die. University of Florida entomological research documents that 1 cockroach carrying boric acid back to a nest eliminates 5 to 7 additional colony members through this secondary transfer. That is how a $2 bait collapses a colony, a $285 spray visit never reaches. The second thing this method accomplishes that commercial products cannot is reaching the eggs. German cockroaches, Blatella germanica, carry their egg cases, called Uthicae, and deposit them deep inside wall voids and cabinet recesses. A spray coating the kitchen surface never contacts those cases. A colony member carrying boric acid back to the nest deposits the compound in the exact location where eggs are stored and where newly hatched nymphs first feed. The bait reaches the generation that has not yet emerged. There is one part of this build I have not described yet. The single step most people get completely wrong. And it is the reason a homemade bait either finishes the problem or merely slows it. I will walk you through that before this video is finished. It is the part that matters most. and I want to make sure everything else is in place before I show you precisely what to do. If this is the kind of knowledge you want to keep receiving, the old methods, the honest costs, the chemistry behind why something works and what the commercial industry has no reason to share, subscribe before you move on. Every piece of content on this channel is built the same way. Real information, real numbers, nothing to sell you. Subscribing means you stop searching and start receiving answers directly on problems like this one before they cost you another $285 phone call. Now let me show you exactly what goes into this bait, why each ingredient does what it does, and how to build and place it correctly. Boric acid, orthoboric acid, H3BO3, has been registered as a pesticide with the United States Department of Agriculture since 1948, though American households were using it against insects decades before that registration existed. The Purdue University Extension Entomology Program has published documented research confirming that boric acid remains one of the most effective long-term cockroach control substances available to homeowners, specifically because of its slow-acting mechanism. Fast-acting poisons kill at the bait site. Slow-acting poisons travel. That distinction is the entire difference between a product that reduces the cockroaches you see and a method that collapses the population you cannot. Purdue's entomology research also documents something about German cockroaches, Blatella germanica, that most homeowners are never told. These insects practice what entomologists call coprophagy, the consumption of nestmate droppings. Inside a cockroach colony, droppings are not waste. They are a food source and a chemical signal that draws other colony members to feeding areas. A cockroach that has eaten boric acid produces contaminated droppings. Every nestmate that consumes those droppings receives a secondary dose. The colony does not need to find the bait directly. The bait finds the colony through the insects themselves. The lemon, citrus limon, in this recipe is not there for fragrance. The outer yellow peel of a fresh lemon contains an oil compound called D-limonene, seen H-sens star. The Environmental Protection Agency has registered D-limonene as a minimum-risk pesticide. Peer-reviewed entomological literature documents its dual action against cockroaches. It repels through scent and damages the respiratory system on direct contact. Commercial citrus-based insecticides sold in garden centers list D-limonene as their active ingredient. In this bait, the lemon peel serves two purposes simultaneously. It masks any detectable chemical odor from the boric acid, so the cockroach does not avoid the bait, and it deposits a mild secondary compound along every trail the cockroach travels, returning to the nest. The aluminum foil is the delivery enclosure, and it is not interchangeable with a paper packet or an open dish. Foil concentrates scent, prevents moisture from degrading the dry bait mixture, and keeps the contents contained between cockroach visits. The specific way you form and puncture the foil packet determines whether this method works at the body transfer level or only at the ingestion level. I will come to that in a moment. This combination of sugar, boric acid, lemon peel, and aluminum foil is consistent with traditional pest management practices documented in oral histories held at the Mennonite Heritage Center in Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Families in Holmes County, Ohio and Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, were using sugar boric acid baits in root cellars and pantry spaces long before commercial gel baits existed. The chemistry was understood through observation and passed through households rather than laboratories. The laboratories caught up later and confirmed what the old folks already knew. Now the build. Put on latex or rubber gloves before you touch the boric acid, H3BO3 sta. The powder is mild but dries the skin and can irritate the eyes if dust reaches them. Mix slowly and never shake or pour quickly enough to create a visible cloud. Step 1. Gather your materials. You need pure boric acid powder, not borax, not the diluted boric acid solution sold for eye washing, and not a blended product. Pure boric acid powder, sold for roach control, available at hardware stores and online for $5 to $8 per pound. White granulated sugar, Saccharum officinarum. 1 fresh lemon, citrus lemon, standard kitchen aluminum foil, latex or rubber gloves, a fork, a small bowl. Step 2. Combine 3 parts white sugar to 1 part boric acid powder. For a full kitchen treatment, 1 cup of sugar to 1/3 cup of boric acid is sufficient for 8 to 12 packets. Stir slowly until the mixture is uniform and dry. It will look like slightly off-white coarse sand. The ratio matters. Too much boric acid relative to sugar, and the cockroach detects something wrong and avoids the bait. Too little, and the kill dose is insufficient for the colony level effect you are building toward. Step 3. Grate the yellow outer layer of 1 fresh lemon, citrus lemon, only the yellow, never the white pith beneath it. The pith is bitter and will repel rather than attract. Add 1 tablespoon of finely grated peel per cup of bait mixture and stir to distribute evenly. The finished mixture should remain dry and crumbly, never wet or clumped. Set the lemon aside. The juice comes back into the process at the end. Step 4. Tear aluminum foil into squares approximately 4 inches across. Place 1 level tablespoon of bait in the center of each square. Fold and crimp all 4 edges closed to form a compact sealed packet about the size of a large walnut. Every edge must be closed. The bait should have no exposure to open air between uses. Step 5. This is the step that determines whether your bait works at 1 level or 2, and this is the part I told you earlier that most people get completely wrong. Use a fork to poke 5 to 7 holes through one face of the packet only. The holes should be no larger than a pencil tip. Place each finished packet with the punctured face up. The cockroach must press its head and antennae through that small opening to reach the bait inside. That physical contact, the exoskeleton pressing against foil edges, dusted with boric acid powder, the antenna sweeping through the interior of the packet, is what transfers the compound to the cockroach's body before it ever swallows a grain. The insect leaves the bait site already contaminated externally. It carries the powder on its legs and body back into the nest, where it contacts nestmates, grooms itself, and deposits the compound on surfaces nymphs and breeding females walk across. Most homemade bait recipes describe this method as working through ingestion alone. Ingestion is one pathway. Body transfer through correctly sized access holes is the second pathway, and it is the one that reaches colony members who never visit the bait directly. Holes too large eliminate the contact transfer entirely. Holes on all sides allow the cockroach to enter and exit without pressing against treated surfaces. 5 to 7 pencil tip holes on the top face only. That is the correct build. Step 6. Place packets in harborage zones where cockroaches travel at night, never in open areas. Under the refrigerator as far back as your hand can reach. Behind the stove, pulled slightly from the wall. Inside the toe kick space beneath base cabinets. In the back corners of upper cabinets where dry goods are stored. Behind the dishwasher. In the corner behind the drain cabinet under the sink. Along any visible baseboard gaps. 6 to 10 packets, for an average kitchen, 1 per location. Now I want to stop for just a moment. If your mother kept cockroaches out of her pantry with something she made herself, a bay leaf arrangement, a mixture along the baseboards, something she never bought at a store, tell me about it in the comments below. Those inherited methods are some of the most valuable pest management knowledge that exists, and most of it was never written down anywhere. I read every single one. There are honest limitations to this method, and I will not skip them. Boric acid, H3BO3 loses effectiveness completely in wet or damp conditions. Do not place packets near leaking pipes or in areas with consistent moisture without addressing the water source first. This method is not appropriate for households where toddlers or pets access hidden cabinet spaces. American cockroaches, Periplaneta americana, and oriental cockroaches, Blatta orientalis, respond more slowly than German cockroaches, Blattella germanica, because their colony structures are less centralized. The method works on all 3 species. The timeline for full colony collapse runs 4 to 8 weeks for the larger species versus 3 to 5 weeks for German cockroaches. The old knowledge my family carried did not come with exceptions removed to make it sound better than it was. It came with the full picture. This method works. It works completely when placed correctly and left undisturbed, and it does not work instantly, which is exactly why it works at the colony level rather than just the surface. If you want to keep receiving this kind of specific, unfiltered, old method knowledge, subscribe now. The next video covers the way my family has kept mice and rats out of a root cellar for generations, and the approach follows this exact same principle. cheap, accurate, and nothing the pest control industry has any reason to advertise. Step 7. Once your packets are placed, leave them completely alone. Do not lift them to check underneath. Do not move them to a different location because you think you found a better spot. Do not remove them because you stopped seeing cockroaches and assumed the problem was finished. Cockroaches travel fixed scent trails every night. Any disturbance to the area around a packet breaks the trail, and the cockroach stops visiting. The bait works while you ignore it. In the first 7 to 10 days after placement, you may see more cockroach activity than before, not less. This is the correct response. The sugar and D-limonene (CH1) scent from the lemon, peel, citrus limon, is drawing insects out of wall voids and harborage zones they have occupied undisturbed for weeks or months. More visible activity in week 1 means the bait is reaching colonies the spray never did. By the end of week 2, the number of cockroaches visible at night should drop noticeably. By the end of week 4, most households with a moderate infestation will see the problem effectively finished. Maintain the packets for a full 3 months regardless of when the visible population disappears. German cockroaches, Blatella germanica, produce egg cases, called oothecae, that were deposited before the colony began collapsing. Those cases hatch on their own schedule. The nymphs that emerge 4 to 6 weeks after the adults are gone will find the bait packets still in place and the cycle closes completely. Remove the packets before that 3-month window, and you leave a fresh generation with no bait and a clean kitchen to recolonize. Replace packets every 8 to 12 weeks as the sugar scent fades and the bait is consumed down. The boric acid, orthoboric acid, HBO3, itself does not degrade, but the attractant does. A packet that has lost its scent is no longer drawing insects. Fresh bait every 2 to 3 months costs approximately 60 to 80 cents in materials per kitchen treatment. After the initial 3-month elimination period, 1 fresh round of packets every quarter serves as complete preventive maintenance. Step 8. The lemon water spray. Take the lemon, citrus lemon, set aside during the bait build. Squeeze the juice into 2 cups of warm water. Warm water carries the D-limonene to CH1 scent further and holds it longer than cold. Add 1 teaspoon of fine salt for supplemental deterrent action. Pour into a clean spray bottle. Use this twice a week to wipe down kitchen counters, the area around the stove, the exterior of the cabinet under the sink, and any baseboard corners where activity has been visible. The D-limonene in fresh lemon juice repels cockroaches through scent and removes the grease and food residue along counter edges and stove surrounds that draw them in the first place. A cockroach navigating a kitchen is following a chemical map built from food odors, grease trails, and moisture. The lemon spray disrupts that map on every surface it contacts. The bait packets handle the colony already present. The spray makes your kitchen a less attractive destination for any cockroach, considering moving in from a neighboring unit, a grocery bag, or a gap in the foundation. This spray is entirely safe on food preparation surfaces. Lemon juice and salt are food-grade ingredients. Use it freely on any kitchen surface without concern. Now the math, and I want you to sit with these numbers plainly. A professional cockroach treatment runs $300 to $600 for the initial visit, depending on your region and the severity of the infestation. Quarterly follow-up maintenance, which most pest control companies strongly encourage and many contracts require, runs $75 to $150 per visit. 4 visits per year at the lower end of that range is $300. Combined with the initial treatment, a single year of professional cockroach control costs a household $600 to $1,200. The materials for this method cost the following: 1 pound of pure boric acid powder, H3BO3, $5 to $8, sufficient for 50 or more bait packets and 2 or more full years of treatment. 1 fresh lemon, citrus lemon, 75 cents to $1. Aluminum foil, already present in most kitchens. A standard roll runs $3 to $4 and produces well over 100 packets. Total first-year cost for the homemade method, $6 to $12. Annual savings against a professional quarterly contract, $590 to $190. Across 5 years, that difference is $2,950 to $5,950 returned to your household rather than paid to a pest control company for a service built on a compound you can purchase yourself for $8 a pound. The boric acid that kills cockroaches in the $60 professional gel bait is chemically identical to the boric acid in the bag on the back shelf of the hardware store. The difference is the label, the markup, and the fact that one of those products requires you to keep calling and the other requires you to keep nothing except a bag in a labeled container on a high shelf out of reach of children. There is no money in teaching a homeowner that an $8 bag in 30 minutes on a Saturday morning accomplishes what a $400 pest control visit does. There is considerable money in ensuring that homeowner never finds out. The old folks in my community found out generations ago, not because they had access to university research or industry data, but because they could not afford to be wrong about what worked and what did not. When a method costs $2 and finishes the problem, you remember it. You teach it to your children. You do not go looking for a better answer. Here's what I want you to do before this week is finished. Drive to the hardware store and pick up 1 pound of pure boric acid powder. Grab 1 fresh lemon at the grocery store. Pull the roll of aluminum foil out of your kitchen drawer. Total cost for everything you do not already own: under $10. Set aside 30 minutes this weekend. Put on your gloves, mix the bait, form the packets, poke the holes on the top face only, and place 6 to 10 of them in the harborage zones behind your refrigerator, your stove, your dishwasher, and inside your cabinets. By Sunday evening, the bait is working while you sleep. Twice a week, 10 minutes, mix a fresh bottle of lemon spray and wipe down your kitchen surfaces. That is the entire ongoing maintenance for a problem most American households pay over $1,000 a year to manage. Now I want to hear from you. What did you spend the last time cockroaches showed up in your home? On spray, on traps, on a pest control visit? And did it actually finish the problem? And if your mother or your grandmother kept cockroaches out of her pantry with something she never bought at a store, share that method below. The old household knowledge that was never written down is some of the most accurate pest management information that exists, and every single comment gets read. Next time I'm going to show you the way my family keeps mice out of a root cellar and a pantry. Not with poison, not with expensive traps, and not with anything you need to purchase more than once. The principle is identical to what you learned today. Subscribe now so that video reaches you the moment it is finished, because the information in it will save you the same kind of money this one just did.